all that was going on, right? We had that final meeting. We ended up clearing Mosul. We had about 3 weeks left of deployment. And so it was nothing else was going on. So I was like, hey, this is a perfect chance. Take this 3 weeks, decompress while we're here. We're probably not going to get tasked with too much, but we did end up getting tasked with. So the next city they were going to take was Tfar. They were like, hey, we want you guys to go get eyes on Tfar and just like observe, report back anything. Simple task, right? We go up to the forward line of advance and just keep eyes on it. So I went out there twice, and it was I wasn't involved in that meeting, but I got told afterwards. Corey Scott's actually the one who came up to me and was like, hey, there's some shit going on about the pictures. Guys are sort of like divide. Like, I guess Craig's like, we should delete them. Other guys are like, I don't want to delete mine. I want to keep it.
But Corey's the one that came up and told you.
Yes.
This. Interesting.
So I was like, all right. So I ended up calling all the E6s, like the in the platoon had a meeting with them. I was like, what's going on? And they were like, hey, the guys are worried about the pictures. And I was like, okay, delete them. I was like, just get rid of them. And I even said it. I was like, probably shouldn't have done it. Get rid of them and call it what it is. The problem is some guys were like, nope, I'm keeping it. Like, they liked it. And then some guys wanted it deleted. So all I knew is I put out delete it and we'll continue mission, whatever, just another day. And that was like the end of it. It never brought up again. There wasn't no discussions. The only other time that during that deployment where I was like, all right, what the fuck's going on is when I lived. So I lived with the OIC and the JO, who's a junior officer, lived with us as well when he was there. And I had asked to borrow his phone. We had in-country phones, and I wanted to text somebody back at Arbil to make sure they brought up some supply I forget what it was, when they were coming back the next week. I had opened up his phone, and it was a text thread already on there, and I saw my name right off the bat, and I was like, oh. And so, of course, my curiosity, I'm like reading it, and it's Craig Miller, Delay, and I think Dalton. They're like, fuck Eddie. Like, it was just talking all this shit about me. And like, we don't want to, Craig should be in charge. We want to go out with, blah, blah, blah. And this is to this junior officer. So the junior officer walks in and I was like, hey, what's this? And so right away he's like, oh, I don't know. And
he shit
like,
himself.
Yeah. So I was like, this needs to be nipped in the butt. So I called another meeting, went down. I actually drove to Arbil. I canceled the operation the next day. I was like, we're going to solve this. So I drove up there with my OIC.
Nice scenic drive through the countryside.
That's right. Yeah. And so I had a meeting with all of them. And it came to like, I was like, what is the issue here? What is the problem? And the one guy who was talking the most trash on the text thread, he was just like, oh. And I was like, he's like, I don't know. I'm just pissed. And I was like, well, let's talk.
Is this Corey?
No, this is another guy named Joe.
Okay.
Who really was just like not part of it. He was just getting wrapped up in it. And so I talked to him. I'm like, dude, what are the issues? And really, there was no issue. He even admitted it. He's like, dude, it's just we're coming back here, and the hate circle starts and whatever, And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, do you understand the mission? I'm like, why we're doing this every day? And he's like, yes. And I was like, so you guys are just tired, whatever. And he's like, yeah. And so I was like, okay. I was like, is there anything else? No. Cool. We went back out. Everything was like, hey, I realized, I think we all agreed at that point. It was like, like I said, we're like 5 months in. Hey, we're all tired. Everybody's beat down. We've been working hard. I'm like, but let's finish this deployment off strong. Clean slates. Let's just like try and cut the drama out. I was like, I will try and fix things, I guess, on my end, like, but the reality is this: we cannot stop going until the mission is complete.
They were obviously on this chain, though. They're complaining about you, like, in general.
Yes.
They're not pointing to like the one event with the guy. That's not even like discussed in that, or is it?
Which guy?
Like the ISIS guy.
No,
and that. So
none
that's
of that,
not discussed.
None of that is discussed.
They're just discussing.
And what I found out later is, and this is from Geo and some other guys in platoon, everything that happened on that deployment was my fault. It could have rained, and they're like, fucking Eddie. Like, they were putting everything on me. I was making them go out every day. Everything bad that happened, to the point where if they lost something, they're like, Eddie stole it. That started becoming a rumor. They're like, he's stealing things from people. And I didn't know about this either. And I was like, until I got back.
Was this like Red Bulls and power bars and shit?
Dude, it just is so petty.
Again, the ugly girl on the bar thing.
Yeah.
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 It was, well, at the time, it was like Craig had lost a pair of sunglasses. Immediately, Eddie stole them.
Oh, you stole them.
And here's the thing. He found them under his bed 2 weeks later, but didn't like saying, just like, oh, somebody put,
You put
he
'em
said
there.
somebody, yeah.
Put him back.
He said, I put him back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I stole them for 2 weeks and then I put them back.
Right.
These are all
Were
just,
they at least Versace's? Like, were they nice?
these are the typical SEAL gators is what they were.
Gators.
Yeah.
What were they running you? Like $50?
Oh, no, those are about 150. They're expensive.
Ooh,
yeah.
that's up there. That's
Yeah.
out of my price range.
Which is a misdemeanor. And
Yes.
He could have been charged with that theft.
Yes, that's
But he
right.
did return it, so it's only half price.
And then, here's another one.
Ridiculous.
I'll skip to, so all that was going on, right? We had that final meeting. We ended up clearing Mosul. We had about 3 weeks left of deployment. And so it was, nothing else was going on. So I was like, hey, this is a perfect chance. Take this 3 weeks, decompress while we're here. We're probably not going to get tasked with too much, but we did end up getting tasked with, so the next city they were going to take was Talifar. They were like, hey, we want you guys to go get eyes on Talifar and just like observe, report back anything. Simple task, right? We go up to the forward line of advance and just keep eyes on it. So I went out there twice, and it was, you're watching just Talifar, some dudes mill about, but you really like, that's not a chance, you're not going to drop ordnance or do anything kinetic. It's like just reporting back. So I told Craig, I was like, so everybody wants him to be in charge. I was like, hey, you go out on this next one, be the TAC lead. I was like, you're running the show. I'm going to stay back. And he was like, oh, okay. They go out. They end up killing 4 innocent civilians. They come back, and this gets reported to me. I get a phone call like, hey, this happened. So they show back up, and I'm like, what the fuck? And so what happened is another guy, Josh Varenz, who was one of the dudes, he said he spotted an ISIS fighter 1,000 meters away aiming a gun at him. So what they did is it's
1,000 meters,
Yeah.
aiming a gun.
yes, that's through his sniper rifle. They launched a Switchblade, which is a remote control little airplane with a ordnance on it, which you can control and fly into, whoever or a building. They launched that and land that into the group of people that Vren said was, pointing guns at him. It turns out it was like a couple kids and 2 dudes, and they smoked them all. So
And they weren't aiming guns at him?
no, these were civilians. So I get told this, and this is like probably the most pissed I was, because I didn't go out. The one time I didn't go out, and I was like, this is on me. Like, I should have fucking been there. But either way, they come back. I'm like, what happened? They tell me what happened, and I'm like, listen, the problem is you guys, they lied and reported up something else to MARSOC. So I had to drive down to the MARSOC command, and I'm trying to smooth this out. And I'm trying to help them out. I'm like, dude, what are we going to do about this? And they're like, dude, these guys are fucked. Like, they reported this, and this is what actually happened. So I went back, and I even helped them out. I was like, dude, you guys need to get what happened, get your story straight, and you're going to get investigated when we get back, but you need to stick to your story. And that's it. I was like, I have, my name is Paul. This is between y'all. I was like, I wasn't there, but this is my advice to you. This is what you need to do. Ended up, they got investigated when they got back, and it all got squashed. Like, so we're just like,
That's
whatever.
convenient.
Yes. And which that incident wasn't allowed to be brought up in my trial either.
Why not?
Because surprisingly enough, before the trial, they classified it. And they're like, oh, that's classified now. And
So were those guys witnesses at the trial
Yeah.
against you? So
Oh, yeah.
no chance to impeach the witness with a very
You
clear...
can't
and
bring
they
up-
had full immunity. Yeah. So
So
actually,
they classified it before. Was it right before the trial?
yeah, because we were like, we have evidence of the really only war crime that happened was done by one of the witnesses,
Accusers.
the accusers.
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, and that's classified.
And you tried to help them.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like any chief,
yeah,
any chief's got to look out for his guys
Yep.
and be like, hey, I don't want to see anybody get burned. This is war. I've been doing enough. I'm like, I realize mistakes happen. So yeah, I mean, we ended up finishing off the deployment.
Is it tense at all? Like, because you
Yeah,
saw the text,
the last 3 weeks were just weird, man. Like I was like, I did not like these dudes. And I was, but I was like, hey, you got to finish out the deployment. I really just didn't, I wasn't hanging out with them. These guys had built a bar up on the roof of the mansion because by this time we're back in Arbil. So we're done. We're allowed to go back to Arbil. We're chilling in this mansion. We're finally like living in AC and have all the amenities for the last 3 weeks of deployment, which I was fine with. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to work out, get healthy. I had lost, I don't know how much weight during that deployment. So these guys built a bar up on the roof. And so they were going up there every night, just getting hammered and like having a good time. But I was like, dude, I'm not going up there. I had no like desire to hang around them. I was so sick to my stomach of just like dealing with their bullshit that I was like, dude, I'm just going to finish this out and be done with it.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here